Hello, I'm Michael Eric Covenat. Yes, there is someone who has the same first and last name as me, and I'm going to now tell you about the book I wrote. It is called The Narrow Path. It is a collection of Yiddish short stories that I translated into English, and this started when I met this guy who owns a small consulting firm in Columbus, Ohio, and we were talking at a casual social event, and he might happen to mention that he would be willing to, or like, a gift of a Yiddish story or short stories that had never been translated into English before and that would be appropriate for a gift for his father. And he wanted a story that would have a father and a son and that would be very profound and would have a moral. And I found some stories that I thought were somewhat similar. They weren't exactly what he wanted, but I remained confident and told him they would definitely like the stories, and he liked it, and I gave him my gift in May 2009, though May of this year, and I had four short stories and one monologue, and I expanded it a little bit in September 2009, and the title, The Narrow Path, comes from one of the stories where it's called My Son, and then in parentheses, two motives, and the son convinces the father to go deer hunting with him, but the hunting reminds the father of anti-Semites hunting and killing Jews, and they ask for directions to a place where they can obtain horses to ride, and there's one scene where they're going down a main road and they're supposed to turn onto a narrow path, and the son sees the narrow path and shouts out, "There it is, the narrow path." So that's why I chose The Narrow Path as the title. And there's actually two words in Yiddish for fictional stories. One is Maisa, which is the first word for story I learned. But Maisa seems to refer to a parable or a fable or something that happened a long time ago from the viewpoint of the narrator. But these stories are all described in the table of contents of each book that I got them from as Erzählungen, which is probably best translated as narrative or narration instead of story, and they're all either narrated by the main character or narrated from the viewpoint of the author. So it seems like the author is narrating the story as if the story actually happened to the author, except that it is fiction and not an actual real life narrative. And these are not, there's nothing specifically religious about these at all. Yiddish is actually a secular language that evolved among the Ashkenazic people. That's a word that many people use to refer to the ethnic group in Eastern Europe that historically followed the Jewish religion and spoke the Yiddish language. And there's many different small ethnic groups in the world that followed Judaism, but I don't think they're all related to the Jews in ancient Israel. But there's the Ashkenazic group is the biggest one that's in Eastern Europe, native to Eastern Europe, and then there's a lot of other groups, but most people just lump all the other groups together and just call them all Sephardic. But my anthology has a lot. All the stories in the anthology don't necessarily have happy endings, but in real life, endings are not always happy. And I also heard or read somewhere that the happy ending was invented in Victorian England to make short to make folk tales seem appropriate for children. So even if the stories that I translated are not don't necessarily have a happy ending, they're very realistic and they definitely accurately reflect what Yiddish speakers might have actually experienced. And the realisticness is startling and it's going to make you smile, even if it's not so happy, because it's something that is realistic and could actually happen. It's not like a parable or fable or something cutesy or something that's written purposely just to be funny without having any substance. It has the kind of substance of experiences that could actually happen in your life, and I'm available to write other short stories or translations, and just contact me. My email address is mek@uniqueyidishtranslations.com, and my website is uniqueyidishtranslations.com.